Hello and welcome. Today I have a wonderful story for you called The Magic Pot. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived a kind and hard-working farmer. Every single day, he would head out to his farm to tend to his crops. One morning, as he was digging the soil to prepare for the upcoming monsoon, his shovel hit something hard. He dug around it and, to his surprise, unearthed a big, empty pot. He wondered what it could be used for, but with work to do, he simply set it aside and continued digging. When lunchtime came, the farmer, without much thought, placed his spade inside the pot while he sat down to eat his meal. After he finished his lunch, he went to retrieve his spade and couldn't believe his eyes. Instead of one spade, the pot was now filled with 100 spades. He was completely baffled. "How is this possible?" he thought. "I only brought one spade. This must have something to do with the pot." To test his theory, he took out all the spades and dropped a small stone from the ground into the pot. Instantly, the single stone multiplied into 100 stones. The farmer realized he had found a magic pot. He carefully carried the precious pot back home and kept it safe. From that day on, he used the pot to meet his needs. If he needed new clothes, he would put in a small piece of fabric and get enough to make a full set. If he was hungry, he'd place one fruit inside and get 100 fruits in return. Slowly but surely, the farmer became quite wealthy. But this farmer was a very honest man. He never used the pot's magic to become greedy or take more than he needed. He was content with what he had. However, his neighbor couldn't help but notice the farmer's growing prosperity. Day by day, the farmer seemed to have more and more. The neighbor grew jealous and was determined to find out the secret to his wealth. One evening, the curious neighbor crept up to the farmer's window and peered inside. He watched as the farmer poured a tiny spoonful of milk into the pot and then took out a whole liter of milk. "Aha," whispered the neighbor to himself. "So that's his secret. It's a magic pot." Consumed by envy, the wicked neighbor decided he had to steal it. Later that night, while the farmer was asleep, the neighbor snuck into his house, stole the pot, and brought it back to his own home. He was ecstatic, imagining all the riches he would soon have. But first, he wanted to see if there was anything already inside. He reached his hand deep into the pot to check. Of course, it was empty, but when he pulled his hand out, he gasped in horror. He didn't have one hand anymore. He now had 100 hands attached to his arm. He was terrified. He had no idea how to reverse the magic. The next morning, when he stepped outside, the villagers screamed. They saw a man with 100 hands on one side of his body and thought he was some kind of monster. They started throwing stones at him and chased him out of the village forever. When the kind farmer saw what had happened, he knew his neighbor must have stolen the pot and foolishly stuck his hand inside. The moral of this story is a simple one. Never be envious of what others have, and never, ever steal. Honesty and contentment bring true richness, while greed and jealousy only lead to misfortune. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more. See you next time.